The topic of this evening's presentation, in the shade of the throne, is a hadith narrated by Abu Huraira radiallahu anhu from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in which he said, سبعة يظلهم الله تعالى في ظله يوم لا ظل إلا ظله. 7 will be shaded by Allah Almighty on a day when there will be no other shade besides His shade. إمام عادل وشاب نشأ في عبادة الله ورجل قلبه معلق بالمساجد. A just ruler, a youth who grows up worshipping Allah, a man whose heart is attached to the mosques. ورجلان تحابا في الله اجتمعا عليه وتفرقا عليه ورجل دعته امرأة ذات منصب وجمال فقال إني أخاف الله. 2 men who love each other for the sake of Allah, they meet on the basis of it and separate on the basis of it. A man who is invited by a woman of high position and beauty, and he replies, indeed I fear Allah. ورجل تصدق بصدقة فأخفاها حتى لا تعلم شماله ما تنفق يمينه ورجل ذكر الله خاليا ففاضت عيناه. A man who gives charity and hides it so much so that his left hand is unaware of what his right hand gave. And a man who remembers Allah in private and his eyes become filled with tears. This hadith has been described by the likes of Imam al-Zahabi as having reached what we call the level of tawatur, that it has been narrated by such a large number of companions, it is impossible for them to have conspired to fabricate it. This is the highest level of narration of hadith. Ibn Abdul Barr also said with regards to this hadith, it is the best and most comprehensive hadith narrated on meritorious deeds and those who do them, insha'Allah. It is sufficient for you as honor, because the knowledge encompasses the fact that everyone who will be in Allah's shade on the day of resurrection will not be affected by the terror of that situation. So it is a hadith of the highest levels of authenticity. Furthermore, it is among the most comprehensive hadith which address what we refer to as meritorious deeds. The hadith describes 7 categories of people, and these categories are all linked by common factors. Among them is the love and the fear of Allah, and among them is the consciousness of Allah and the desire to hide one's acts of righteousness from people. They are all linked together with the opposition to desires, that every human being is driven by a variety of desires, and it is only those who ultimately are able to overcome them that are successful in this life and the next. They are linked together also with regards to how each one is a product of another. That the Imam who is Adil, the righteous ruler, when he establishes an environment of righteousness, then young people will grow up worshipping Allah. And those who grow up worshipping Allah will be attached to the mosques. And those who are attached to the mosques, they will develop amongst themselves a love for each other for the sake of Allah. And if they are called by a woman who is beautiful and has money and she calls them to corruption, they will have the strength of character and faith to reject her, saying, indeed, we fear Allah. And those who have reached this level of fear of Allah, when they do righteous deeds, they do them not seeking the admiration and the praise of others. So they willingly give charity without anyone knowing who gave that charity. And furthermore, such a person or such people with these characteristics, they indeed will worship Allah privately, remember Allah, and their eyes will become filled with tears. Now when we look at the hadith seems to refer to men. A just ruler, the term used here is Imamun Adil, a just male ruler. And then a youth, a male youth who grows up worshipping Allah, and so on and so forth. The term man or the male terms are used throughout the hadith. However, the reality is that hadiths of this nature, as verses of the Quran which address similar issues, they are not restricted to men, but include females at the same time. And this is a basic factor which is found in the Arabic language, in that we commonly will use male terms to address females. Just the very greeting, Assalamu alaikum, actually that greeting means peace be on all you men. But we use it to greet women also. What should be said if we're addressing women should be Assalamu alaikunna, to all you women. However, this is the nature of Arabic, that it will include, using the male term, both males and females. So it is only where the term has aspects which are only applicable to males that it is restricted to males. But in general, the hadith addresses both males and females. Furthermore, the number 7, though the Prophet ﷺ began saying, سَبْعَةٌ يُظِلُّهُمُ اللَّهُ تَعَالَى فِي ظِلِّهِ يَوْمَ لَا ظِلَّ إِلَّا ظِلُّهُ, that there are 7 who will be in the shade of Allah, most great, most high, on a day when there will be no other shade. The reality is that that number has no special significance. We can find many references to 7s mentioned in the Quran, whether it's 7 times tawaf around the Kaaba or between Safa and Marwa. When a child reaches the age of 7, he should be taught salah or she should be taught salah, and so on and so forth. There are many mentions of 7. Sometimes those 7 have specific relevance to that particular circumstance. Other times it's just a number which is mentioned. And we know that in fact this is just a number because of the fact that there are other narrations, like one by Abu Bashir, in which he says, he mentions from the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, that whoever gives time to a debtor, whoever gives time to a person in debt, they owe us money, and we give them time to pay. The time has come up